Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 15 of the Unstoppable Entertainment Show, the most comprehensive entertainment show on the internet. I am, of course, Nate Schaffner, otherwise known as the Unstoppable Nate. It's kind of a weird day today in Albuquerque. It's gloomy. It's snowing in Albuquerque, if you can believe that. It's kind of weird. You ever have a gloomy day outside and then it just makes you drowsy for the rest of the day? That's how I am. But it's fine because I have energy powder in my water, so it's completely fine. I'm good. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing well, and if not, I hope this show provides a brief respite from whatever it is that you're going through. I got a great show for you guys today. A lot of stuff to talk about, but before I do, just want to quickly remind everybody that if you like this show, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, spread the word, tell your friends. Also, if you guys have a question, comment, or if you'd like me to talk about certain movies or franchises, you can email me anytime at the address listed in the description of this video. So with all that out of the way, let's get started here, and let's get started with this. So there's been rumors and speculation over the past few years about whether or not a third installment in the Happy Death Day horror movie franchise, if a third installment will actually be happening. The first movie, which I really enjoyed, it made like it made $125 million at the box office on a budget that was just under $5 million. The second movie wasn't as successful, and I haven't seen the second one yet. So it was made for $9 million, and it only made $64 million. So I can understand why there's been rumors and speculation about whether or not a third installment is happening. But it looks like we have finally some word on that. This article is on Joe Blow, published by Cody Haman. And this article does point out that Happy Death Day 3 is moving forward. Jessica Roth, I think that's how you pronounce it. She's the star of these movies. She was at American Cinematheque, and she appeared at a double feature of the first two films. She announced that the third movie is moving forward, and Christopher Landon, who directed the first two films, he was also in attendance there and confirmed that a third movie is moving forward. So, again, I can understand why, given that the second film wasn't as financially successful as the first one, I can understand why there's been rumors and speculation about whether or not a third movie would happen. I'm glad that it is. Like I said, I've really enjoyed I really enjoyed the first movie. I really enjoyed the first movie. Haven't seen the second one, but I enjoyed the first one so much that I eventually will watch it. I'm glad that the third one is happening. I kind of miss the old days of good film trilogies. And I've heard that Christopher Landon, the director, has some really crazy ideas. So I'd like to see those ideas pan out. So I'm glad that it's happening. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about a third movie in the Happy Death Day film franchise. This next piece of news has to do with the legendary MonsterVerse film franchise. That's the 2014 Godzilla movie, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Then there was Godzilla vs. Kong. Then there was Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire. And they have some casting announcements for more casting announcements for the next installment of that film franchise. I don't think it has a title yet. Anyway, so this piece of news is on Deadline, published by Matt Grobar. And this article says that Australian actress Alycia Debnam-Carey is the newest addition to the cast of the still untitled new MonsterVerse movie from Legendary. Character description is under wraps. Okay, so not much to go on here. Alycia Debnam-Carey was just in that Netflix series Apple Cider Vinegar, if any of you have seen that. Look, I'm. What I will say is that I'm glad that these movies continue to be successful and that there are going to be more of them. I haven't seen Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, so I can't comment on that. Like I said, the only one that really didn't quite live up to par for me was King of the Monsters. I mean, it was fine. It was fun. But it just didn't. It didn't hit the. It just didn't hit the mark for me. I don't know how else to say it. Like I said, it was entertaining. Let's be real about this franchise. Everybody goes to see these movies to see the monsters destroy shit. We want to see them wreck shop. I mean, all due respect to the human characters and the actors in these movies, but that's what we really want to see. So I'm glad that I'm glad that there are more casting announcements. That means that it's going to be filming soon. Her character description being kept under wraps, that says to me, and I could be completely wrong, but it does tell me that maybe her character is of vital importance to the movie. Like, she's an important character. She's not going to be just a throwaway character that's going to be in the movie for 10 minutes. I could be wrong. Who knows? But I am looking forward to this next installment of this franchise. I enjoy these movies for the most part. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this franchise, and are you looking forward to the next installment? This next piece of news has to do with the Legally Blonde prequel series titled Elle, as in Elle Woods. This article is on Deadline, published by Rosie Cordero. And this article says that Amy Pietz is joining the upcoming Prime Video series Elle, which is in production, so it's filming right now. In a series regular role, Pietz will play Donna, the no-nonsense high school secretary. Okay, so this is interesting to me. Again, it's one of those things like the types of characters that are being cast in this show. I wonder what the character dynamic will be. in this series. Like, is Elle Woods going to, like, even though she's in high school, is she going to be a smartass? Is she going to be a smarty pants? And you know, is this secretary going to kind of put her in her place? You know, how's that all going to work? Amy Pietz, if you don't know who she is, she was on Caroline in the City. Just to throw that out there. But yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to this. Not much else to go on here. It does say that she'll be a series regular on the show, so there is that. You know, again, I just wonder how the character dynamic is going to work between, like, maybe Elle Woods gets in trouble for being a know-it-all at school, and the secretary has to, you know, call a parent-teacher conference or something. You know, I'm just throwing that out there. You know, I'm just spitballing. I don't really know. But it is interesting that she's going to be a series regular. Maybe the relationship between the secretary and Elle Woods evolves over the course of the show. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you think about this piece of casting news, and are you guys looking forward to a Legally Blonde prequel series? Let's see. This next piece of news has to do with an upcoming Western. This article is on Deadline, published by Anthony D'Alessandro. And this article says that the movie is titled Man of War, and it's a Western starring Samuel L. Jackson, with Tim Story directing and producing. This article goes on to say, in Man of War, Jackson plays a newly retired and long-revealed general who returns to his hometown in rural Georgia after the death of his wife to find it in the throes of corruption, gentrification, and racism. Using battle-honed strategy and combat skills, he'll wage all-out war against the town and the billionaire exploiting it. So this sounds really interesting, especially for this doesn't sound. I'm trying to think of how to say it, but there are tropes in this description that sound typical of a Western, but at the same time, dealing with the change of his hometown, gentrification and racism and how that's changed since he's been gone. That sounds really interesting to me, and really kind of a more. It sounds like a Western that could deal with these issues in a very serious way, and I think it sounds like a really interesting project for Samuel L. Jackson, who I love. He's great. My concern is Tim Story directing. Tim Story, he directed this movie called Taxi back in the mid-2000s. I think it was 2004. It had Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah, I think. And it wasn't, if I remember correctly, it wasn't. Yeah, that's the movie I'm thinking of. It's not very good. It's actually pretty terrible. He also directed the two Fantastic Four movies in the mid-2000s, and those were not. They were entertaining, but as far as being uh, inspired, being a faithful inspiration and adaptations of the Fantastic Four characters in comics, they weren't very good either. So that's my concern. Is Tim Story directing this movie? I will say, because it's Samuel L. Jackson, I'm automatically interested, you know. But and again, this sounds like a Western that will deal with, you know, finding his hometown in the throes of corruption, gentrification, and racism. That sounds interesting to me, and again, I hope that this movie deals with these issues in a very in a serious way. I just wonder if Tim's Story will be able to do that. And again, I love Samuel L. Jackson, but I'm concerned about Tim Story directing. I could be wrong. Maybe it'll turn out to be great. Who knows? But those are my thoughts on this movie as of right now. So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are on the Western movie titled Man of War. Okay, this next piece of news has to do with the upcoming I've talked in recent weeks about Blumhouse doing a remake of The Mummy that will be directed by Lee Cronin. And there has been more casting news regarding that movie. This article is on Deadline, published again by Anthony D'Alessandro. And this article says, Lee Cronin's The Mummy from Blumhouse and Atomic Monster has added three. That's three new cast members in Veronica Falcon, May Calamawy, and May Elghety. I hope I'm pronouncing those three names right. There's no character description about the three actresses here, but so I will say that Veronica Falcon was in Imaginary, that was also produced by Blumhouse, and she was in the Forever Purge, and she was also in Jungle Cruise, that movie with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. Let's see here, what else? Yeah, so let's see. Calamawy, sorry about that. Calamawy was in the Moon Knight series, and she was very good in the Moon Knight series. She played the Scarlet Scarab in Moon Knight, and let's see. I'm not familiar with Elghety. May Elghety. So production is currently underway. They're currently filming this movie right now. Look, I'm really looking forward to this movie. I'm glad that they're rounding out the cast. I'm glad to see. I know this may sound a little. I'm glad to see. Um, More women in this prominent. In such a high profile movie. I've always believed that we need more women in film, both in front of and behind the camera. Um, so I'm happy to see that these obviously three talented actresses are being added to this movie. Um, and now I could speculate and say that because there are no character descriptions for them, I could speculate that they are high-profile characters, that they're not just throwaway characters. Um, um, but I just wanted to throw that out there about women in film and things like that. Look, I'm very excited for this movie. Lee Cronin made Evil Dead Rise, which was awesome. So hopefully he'll knock it out of the park with this Mummy remake. So jump in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this. This next article has to do with a an upcoming Tom Cruise movie. So for those who don't know, and this will be after, I believe, so Tom Cruise, obviously he has I'm guessing it will be the final Mission Impossible movie coming out, and I think his next movie after that he'll be working with a director by the name of Alejandro Inarritu, who made most notably The Revenant, that starred Leonardo DiCaprio, and Leo won the Oscar for The Revenant, and Tom Hardy is in it, and it was directed by Alejandro Inarritu. Alejandro Inarritu also made a movie called Babel, I think with Brad Pitt, and he made this movie called Beautiful with who's the Javier Bardem. So Tom Cruise and Alejandro Inarritu will be making a movie together, and this next piece of news has to do with casting news regarding that movie. This article is on CBR, published by Lee Freitag, and this article says, House of the Dragon star Emma D'Arcy has become the latest high-profile addition to the cast of Alejandro G. Inarritu's untitled feature movie. D'Arcy joins an ensemble that is being headlined by Tom Cruise. This article does go on to say that per the synopsis, the movie concerns the most powerful man in the world who embarks on a frantic mission to prove he is humanity's savior before the disaster he's unleashed destroys everything. That sounds very interesting to me. And it sounds... it sounds kind of... maybe... This sounds kind of a very interesting project for Tom Cruise to be in. I've said for a while, I think Tom Cruise is probably the last real movie star that we have left. So this idea that he's playing this the most powerful man in the world to prove he is humanity's savior. I mean, it's a little weird. It's a little, maybe it's a little on the nose. Proving he's humanity's savior, while at the same time he's also maybe the last movie star we have left. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny. But it is, in all seriousness, this does sound interesting, and it does sound like an interesting project for Tom Cruise to be in, following the Mission Impossible movies. So I have to admit something. Emma Darcy is obviously on Game of Thrones. And, well, she's on House of the Dragon. She's not on Game of Thrones. I have not seen House of the Dragon, nor have I seen Game of Thrones. And that is not by choice. I know people are going to come at me. I need to find time to watch all of this stuff that I say I need to watch. And Game of Thrones is one of them. House of the Dragon might be one of them too. We'll see how long House of the Dragon is on the air. I've heard good things about it, though. But this idea that what's interesting is that if you look at the kinds of films that Alejandro Inarritu has made, this could be I think this is going to be very different from the kinds of movies that Tom Cruise has made over the past 10 years. And for the record, Tom Cruise has proven that he can do any genre. He is someone who I will see anything that he does because of the kind of caliber actor that he is, and I have an enormous amount of respect for Tom Cruise for for his stunt work that he's cultivated. We'll be watching these Mission Impossible movies 50 years from now, and telling our kids, our grandkids even, yeah, that was actually him hanging off the side of that plane. That wasn't green screen or anything, So this will be an interesting departure from the kinds of movies that Tom Cruise has been making. And I am interested in seeing it, especially with Alejandro Inarritu directing. So jump in the comments section and let me know what you guys think about Tom Cruise, Emma Darcy, and Alejandro Inarritu making a movie together. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Jump in the comments section and let me know. This next bit of news should excite many people. This piece of news is on Joe Blow, published by Kevin Fraser. In this article, the headline reads, Beetlejuice 3 in the works at Warner Brothers. This article says, while speaking with Deadline, Warner Brothers CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy revealed that Beetlejuice 3 is in the works. Now, this is what I'm about to say here is kind of important. This article does say that it's not quite official just yet. Michael DeLuca did say that he said imminently. DeLuca said, the ink might not be dry on the deals yet, but imminently. So it's happening. It's just a matter of getting the deals in place. Okay. The original Beetlejuice is great. It's I think it could be argued that it's one of maybe Tim Burton's best work. Um, and I love the original Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice 2 or Beetlejuice. I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed it. I just want to throw this out here. There is this idea amongst film fans that a sequel to that a sequel has to be better or as good as as its predecessor. I think that is ludicrous. I completely reject that. I just want, if you're going to do a sequel, just make it a good movie. This, oh, it wasn't as good as the first one, so it sucks. No, it doesn't. I completely reject that notion. I just want the movie to be good. And Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice 2, whatever you want to call it was a good movie. Do I think it's as good as the first one? No. But again, for me, it didn't have to be. I will say, I think the expectations were off the wall. Ridiculously high expectations. Beetlejuice, for me, was a good movie. I was highly entertained by it. The first one is better, but I was still very much enjoyed Beetlejuice 2. I will say the chemistry between, like, the scenes with Beetlejuice and the scenes with Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder together, it was like it was like I'm trying to think of how to say it, but it was as if they never left. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, they're back after, and it was that it was like instant chemistry. I could tell. And Michael Keaton is so good in that movie. In both movies, really, but it was seeing Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder and seeing, Catherine O'Hara and Jenna Ortega was great too, but specifically, I was looking forward to I was specifically looking forward to seeing scenes with Beetlejuice and Winona Ryder, and because I was like, oh, how is that? How is it going to be? Is the chemistry going to feel forced because it's been so long since the original? And it didn't. It felt completely natural, and it was so much fun. And I had a lot of fun watching that movie. So I could tell you what I want from a third Beetlejuice movie, but I'm not. The other thing with movie sequels, I think, is that I think a lot of times fans think out loud about what they want to see in a sequel or what they hope to see in a sequel. And then when that doesn't happen, they say that the movie sucks. Like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted, so I hated it. And that, again, is ridiculous. I just want a good story with good characters. But I can tell you what I want for a third Beetlejuice movie. I don't know whether they're going to do it, but I can tell you what I want. First of all, you have to call it Beetlejuice. You have to. And I would love to see Beetlejuice fully unleashed. Just going ape shit on anyone and anything. I remember watching an interview. I forget what it was. It was an interview with Michael Keaton, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but it was an interview with Michael Keaton, and I don't want to misrepresent anybody. I should say not. I don't want to misrepresent, but I forget it was for a talk show or for a news network or something. I don't know which one, so I'm not gonna guess. But it was an interview with Michael Keaton, and he was asked if he would do a third Beetlejuice movie, and he said, "Oh, you don't say that. Don't say that." And the interviewer, she's like, "Why? You know, why not?" And Michael Keaton said, "Oh, Beetlejuice will fuck you up." And I was like, and I remember hearing that interview or watching that interview and going, yeah, and that's what we want to see. You know, I personally want to see that. Whether or not we'll get it, who knows? I could tell you but that's what I would love to see. For me, I'm just excited that we're getting a third one. So that's going to make a lot of people happy, I'm sure. And I loved seeing Tim Burton return to that world again, and it was nice because I think I think Tim Burton's last couple of films haven't quite lived up to. I'm trying to think of what's the best way to put it. They haven't been very good, and Tim Burton is one of my favorite filmmakers. I think his visual style, the way the set design, his visual style, his he has a certain style with his movies is what I'm trying to say, and I really personally respond to that. Tim Burton is one of my favorite filmmakers. Edward Scissorhands I dearly love. I really enjoyed Big Fish. I am someone who much prefers Batman Returns over the original Batman with Jack Nicholson. I think that was, I think that movie is Tim Burton unleashed. I think Batman Returns is what you get when you just let Tim Burton off the leash, and I loved it. Again, Beetlejuice, Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow was wonderful, but he's always had a certain style with his movies, a certain visual style that I really respond to personally. And he's one of my favorite filmmakers. And when he makes a movie that isn't that good, it really breaks my heart. And the one that I can think of offhand is when he did Dumbo. It was fine. It was fine. It wasn't. I think it wasn't as I just don't think it lived up to when he directed the live action Dumbo. It didn't really live up to. It was. I'm trying to. I always struggle with how to. Sometimes I struggle with how to phrase things, but it's because of the high quality of Tim Burton movies that had come before Dumbo. I was really let down with it, and and I get it. Everybody has a bad day at the office, and I know that Tim Burton has talked about his frustrations working on that movie, you know, but Dumbo, I think, is the one really his bad day at the office, and that's fine. But my point is that it was nice to see. It was so great to see Tim Burton return to the world of Beetlejuice, and it was clear to me that like he never that it was nice to see him return to that style of movie, and he hadn't lost a step, and it was good. It was really, really good. So hopefully Tim Burton returns to direct Beetlejuice 3. I cannot imagine, especially after the financial success of Beetlejuice 2, why he wouldn't. I mean, maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. I don't know if people would be interested in seeing a Beetlejuice movie that isn't directed by Tim Burton, because Tim Burton is so identified with the visual style of Beetlejuice. So I don't know. I hope Tim Burton returns. I'm just glad that a third movie is happening. Anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on Beetlejuice 3 happening? Are you looking forward to it? Did you like Beetlejuice 2? What are your thoughts on this? Jump in the comments section and let me know. This next bit of news should excite Godzilla fans, because I know it excites me. So, I just before I get into this, I have to say, over the past, I would say 10 years, I have become a really enthusiastic Godzilla fan. And by that same token, King Kong. I love the original 1933 King Kong. And I even love I love the King Kong movie that was directed by Peter Jackson. But Godzilla, I was never really a huge, big Godzilla fan. I don't know why. It was just something that I never got around to it until about 10 years ago. And then I saw me and a friend of mine who was and as far as I know still is. I only say was because I haven't communicated with him in a very long time. He's a big Godzilla fan, and so I went with him to see the 2014 Godzilla movie. He loved it. I loved it. I went apeshit over it. And I would say over the past several years, I have been working on collecting all the classic Godzilla films. I'm getting there. I'm slowly getting there. Usually, and the reason it's taking so long is because I wait for things to go on sale. So when I get all of them, I will probably do like a huge Godzilla movie marathon or something like that. You know, the Godzilla movie, the only prior to the 2014 Godzilla movie, the only Godzilla movie I had seen was the one that came out in 1998 with Matthew Broderick and it. You know, when you're 12 and you've never seen a Godzilla movie before then, that movie's awesome. And then you get older, a little wiser, and you get a little more learned in the history of Godzilla and Godzilla's filmography, and you learn that movie is garbage. That movie is, I would say, it's the best Godzilla movie that doesn't have Godzilla in it. I don't know what that creature is. It looks like it's a giant iguana, you know. But anyway, so I just wanted to give a brief history of me becoming a Godzilla fan. So 2 years ago, in 2023, I was very lucky to see two foreign films in theaters. And one of them was Godzilla Minus One. And I saw it, I didn't see it in IMAX. I saw it in what is called the RPX Theater, which is, they have, it's kind of like an IMAX, but it's kind of not. It's instead of an oval theater, it's rectangular theater, but it still encompasses, like the movie screen is on all sides, but instead of an oval theater, it's a rectangular theater. And I was like, and that was my first Toho Godzilla movie in the theater. For those of you who don't know, Toho is the Japanese company that makes the Japanese Godzilla films. So that was my first Toho Godzilla movie in the theater. And maybe I'm partial because it was my first Toho Godzilla movie in the theater. Maybe I'm not. But I think I called one of my friends who I've since had a falling out with, unfortunately. But I called one of my friends after I saw Godzilla Minus One, and I was like, dude, this is the best Godzilla movie produced by Toho. It's great. It's awesome. I feel just so incredibly lucky to have been able to see that movie in the theater. And in fact, I think I remember reading that it got an extended run in the theater because it did financially, it did really well. And it won visual effects at the Oscars, and I was so happy because like I personally always get happy. I'm always very pleased when a movie I saw in the theater wins major awards. You know, I take a little bit of personal pride in that. And especially when it's a foreign film, because a lot of times foreign films don't play in U.S. theaters very long. But Godzilla Minus One is awesome. It's awesome. It's great. So there has been speculation about when the sequel could happen to to Godzilla Minus One. Oh, and by the way, I just want to point out there's a sequence in that movie where they play the original, that great original Godzilla music, and it's awesome. It works so well. So anyway, there's been speculation about when or even if a Godzilla Minus One sequel is going to happen. Well, there is an article on MovieWeb published by Archie Fenn. And let's see if about halfway down this article states, news of a Godzilla Minus One sequel has been brewing since the first movie's Oscar-winning success, with many fans desperate for Takashi Yamazaki to deliver another jaw-dropping kaiju flick. Kaiju is the Japanese word for, it's a monster movie. And Takashi Yamazaki is the director of Godzilla Minus One. The director had previously confirmed that he was working on a sequel, but conflicting reports also suggested that Yamazaki was simultaneously in development on other films. However, thanks to a new report from Bloomberg Japan, we now know that Takashi Yamazaki has his sights set on Godzilla Minus One 2, and the film could arrive sooner than we expected. This article does go on to say, the report confirmed that the Godzilla Minus One sequel will be Takashi Yamazaki's next movie. Most surprisingly, it was also revealed that the sequel could begin production as soon as late 2025. Plot details about the Godzilla Minus One sequel will still remain tightly under wraps. However, the report has alleviated many fans' fears by confirming that the sequel will also be set in Japan. So that's cool. I never feared that. But anyway, so my response to a sequel to Godzilla Minus One is yes, finally, yes, it's happening. Holy crap. Okay. So, I do hope it's not called Godzilla Minus One 2. That's a very, I hope it's called something else. Anyway, it's going to be set in Japan, which is cool. I cannot even tell you. And again, maybe I'm biased because Godzilla Minus One was the first Toho Godzilla movie that I saw in the theater. That movie's great. It's so great. It's awesome. And there's actually, I think there's like a black and white version that they released even in theaters, and you can buy it on digital. So you can get that kind of classic Godzilla feel, because all the classic Godzilla movies are in black and white. Oh my god, this is so cool. I could tell you again. I could tell you what I want to see. I don't know if they'll do it, but if they don't do it, I'm just excited to see another Godzilla movie. It would really be cool if they brought in like classic. If they brought in even more classic Godzilla villains. But who knows what they could do? I mean, the great thing about one of the great things that they did with the Godzilla Minus One is they reinvented and kind of modernized the origin story of Godzilla, and it was bloody brilliant. It was like I'm like, and I know this sounds weird to say about a Godzilla movie, but the story of Godzilla Minus One is is great, and it's very emotional, and um, it really harkened back to the classic uh, Godzilla films where Godzilla was the villain. Like Godzilla's like when Japan was feared Godzilla and he wasn't an ally, you know, and that's I cannot even tell you how much I could go. I'm so excited for this. I hope I get to see this one in the theater. I hope a lot of people do. And the fact that it's I have no reason to believe that this isn't going to be great. I am so excited for this. It's going to be Takashi Yamazaki's next movie. Bring it on. I am ready. I am so ready for this. So jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on a sequel to Godzilla Minus One. This next piece of news has to do with the follow-up to Jesse Eisenberg's next movie. So, next movie that he'll be directing, I should say. So, Jesse Eisenberg directed this movie called A Real Pain last year that, was an Oscar winner. Kieran Culkin won supporting actor for A Real Pain. And this next piece of news has to do with his next movie. This article is on Variety, published by Ethan Shanfield. Let's see here. Okay. This article does say that Jesse Eisenberg's follow-up to the Oscar-winning A Real Pain has added a few more cast members. Halle Bailey, Havana Rose Liu, and Bernadette Peters have joined the untitled musical comedy, which stars Julianne Moore, Paul Giamatti, and Eisenberg. Okay, so Eisenberg is also going to be in this. He also starred in A Real Pain as well. This article does go on to say that Julianne Moore plays a quote, shy woman who is unexpectedly cast in a community theater musical production, going to extremes as she loses herself in the role, according to the log line. Okay, so Jesse Eisenberg will be I'm assuming starring and directing in this movie. Let me get this out of the way first. I have not seen A Real Pain. I've heard it's great. I have heard nothing but good things about Jesse Eisenberg as a director. I do think he can be overrated as an actor. So, with all that out of the way, and obviously, A Real Pain is an Oscar winner. So, I love Julianne Moore as an actress. She's one of my favorites. I first saw her in the second Jurassic Park movie, The Lost World. The movie wasn't all that good, but she's great, and she's always great. I love Paul Giamatti as well. He's wonderful. I'm not too familiar with a couple members of the cast here, but Halle Bailey, was in the live action remake of The Little Mermaid, which I quite liked. I was and I thought she carried that movie very well, and both acting and singing. I thought that movie was quite good. So I'm looking forward to seeing her in this movie, and I also, the type of movie that A Real Pain is. It's not very. Uh, it's not very visual effects heavy. It's a character driven story. Not a lot of set pieces. Not a lot of it's not this extravagant type of blockbuster movie. It's a very character driven piece. The reason I bring that up is that I like that Jesse Eisenberg as a director, I'm assuming that he's directing this. So he wrote it does say that hold on. I want to make sure I get this right. So it does say that Jesse Eisenberg wrote the original music and lyrics for this movie musical. So my point in bringing up the type of movie that A Real Pain is that it's nice to see Jesse Eisenberg. Okay, now that I've done this type of movie, I'm going to challenge myself and do a musical comedy, and start to branch out in terms of genres. So that's nice to see, and hopefully it's good. It did. So he did get an Oscar nomination for the screenplay for A Real Pain. So I mean, it's just nice to see him branch out and do new things. I'm looking forward to this. Some of the cast I'm big fans of. Some of the cast I'm not too familiar with, but as a follow up to his Oscar winning film, I think this sounds really good, and hopefully it is good, and hopefully we'll see this movie at the Oscars. At the Oscars soon. So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are. This next bit of news has to do with it's on the Hollywood Reporter, and Cate Blanchett has announced that she is planning on retiring from acting soon. This article is on the Hollywood Reporter, published by Lily Ford. This article says, Cate Blanchett, a two-time Oscar winner, has told the British press she is retiring from acting in the near future. The actor-producer said in an interview with Radio Times this week that she wasn't sure calling herself a, quote, an actress was quite accurate. She said, quote, it's because I'm giving up. My family rolled their eyes every time I say it, but I mean it. I am serious about giving up acting. There are a lot of things I want to do with my life. So there's that. I first saw Cate Blanchett in Elizabeth when I was in high school, and that may have been the first time I analyzed someone's performance in a movie. You know, as someone who I'm always thinking about the entertainment industry, in one way or another. I've spoken before about how I love talking about movies. I love watching movies, and I love talking about actors and actresses' performances, and I just love talking about the industry, in many ways. And I saw Elizabeth when I was in high school, and I was quite captivated by her performance, as I'm sure anyone who has seen that movie was. And you know, she won, like this article points out, she's won 2 Oscars. One for I think it was Blue Jasmine, which is the Woody Allen film, and then she won in 2004 for playing Kate Hepburn in The Aviator, which was directed by Martin Scorsese. And got water on me. You know, she won an Oscar for playing an Oscar winner. And she's so great in The Aviator, by the way. You know, do your worst, Mr. Hughes. And I recently saw Black Bag last couple weeks ago, or last week, and she's great in that. She's always great, you know. And of course, playing Galadriel in Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. She is a world-class actress, and and has been, I would say, her entire career. She is someone that whose career I have followed, or tried to follow. I haven't seen all of the films that she's been in. I should say, but I'm working on it. She did this movie, I believe it was with Giovanni Ribisi, called Heaven. And it's quite a beautiful piece of work. I remember after watching that film, I remember thinking to myself, if I ever find myself lucky enough to meet Cate Blanchett, I would tell her, you know, I saw Heaven, you know, and you know, I really enjoyed that movie. She's look, she's certainly earned her retirement. If she wants to do other things with her life, then go do it. You know, she's earned it, and we as film fans have thoroughly enjoyed watching her. And you know, she was also in Ocean's 8 with Sandra Bullock. It's this kind of spin-off of the Ocean's 11 movies with George Clooney, and Sandra Bullock plays Danny Ocean's sister. and Cate Blanchett was in it, and that's it's a wonderful movie. It's wonderful. Um, but I just, again, she's certainly earned her retirement. You have other things that you want to do with your life, then go do it. And all we can do is you know say all we can do as film fans is say it's been a pleasure watching you, and because uh, because movies last forever, we will continue to enjoy watching her, and so go enjoy retirement and go and and have at it, and it's she's great, and I need to watch more of the films that she's been in because she's always great. But you know, uh, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Um, what's your favorite Kate Blanchett? What's your favorite Kate Blanchett role or favorite movie that she's been in? I'd love to know. Moving on here. This we have. There's more casting news regarding the next. There's more casting news regarding the next movie in the Godzilla MonsterVerse, the franchise that I brought up earlier. Excuse me. Okay, so um, this article is on CBR, and this article says Sam Neill has landed his next big role, officially joining the MonsterVerse. Um, this article goes on to say that, per the Hollywood Reporter, Neill has been cast for a role in the next movie set in Legendary's MonsterVerse. The film will be the follow-up to Adam Wingard's Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, but its official title hasn't yet been announced. So, Sam Neill will be in this movie. I have there is a special place in my heart for Sam Neill, because, as I said last week, one of the movies that I saw when I was very young, and that had a very profound effect on me. The movie that had the most effect on me as a child was the original Jurassic Park. And Sam Neill, as everyone knows, played Dr. Grant in that movie. And to be perfectly honest, anyone and everyone who is in that movie, that movie has a special place in my heart. And Sam Neill is a wonderful actor. I've seen him in movies other than Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park is the one that I think maybe he's most famous for. I mean, he's in The Hunt for Red October, and he's so good in that. He's in the Omen 3. Say whatever you want about that movie, but Sam Neill is in it. So, look, I could make comparisons. Sam Neill was in Jurassic Park, and now he's facing off with more monsters in this King Kong and Godzilla. You can make all the jokes you want. Oh, Dr. Allen, but I love Sam Neill. I think he's a wonderful. He I think is someone who is an example of he's not a movie star. He's an actor, and I think there's a difference. And I think he's a wonderful actor. Like I said, I've seen him in things other than Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park is arguably his most. Dr. Alan Grant is arguably his most famous role. It would be kind of cool to see him play. Actually, maybe that would kind of be cliche. If he played a version of the Dr. Alan Grant character in this Godzilla movie, maybe that would be cliche. Maybe it would be kind of cool. I don't know. But Sam Neill, honestly, is one of my favorite actors. And I really hope this movie's good. And because I'll be honest with you, I was so looking forward to seeing him in the last Jurassic World movie, and that movie broke my heart. I was so ecstatic for that movie, and it just crushed me. That movie's so bad. But it was kind of cool to see Sam Neill in that movie. But I really hope this movie's good, and I hope, again, details about his role in the movie are being kept under wraps. Maybe he's playing another important character and not just another throwaway. Maybe he plays like a research assistant or who knows. I'm just excited to see Sam Neill in this movie, and I hope the movie's good. So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are on Sam Neill joining the legendary MonsterVerse. All right, let's see what we got here. This next piece of news. So I've talked in recent weeks about there's a movie that Russell Crowe will be starring in called $1 Billion Spy, where he plays a Soviet. He's going to play a Soviet electronics engineer who risks his life to pass along top secret intelligence to the CIA. So, and Russell Crowe, it's based on a true story. So there's been some casting news regarding that movie. It's a Cold War thriller. And about halfway down this article is on Screen Rant, published by Katrina Yang. And this article says, let me see here. Per Deadline's report, the Conjuring star Vera Farmiga has joined $1 Billion Spy's all-star cast to play Natasha. She will play... So Russell Crowe is playing Adolf Tokachev, who was the Soviet engineer. Vera Farmiga is going to play Natasha, Tokachev's wife. This is really great casting. I really like Vera Farmiga. Obviously the Conjuring movies. She was great in this movie called Up in the Air with George Clooney, and there's a twist in that movie involving her character that I personally didn't see coming, and she's a very good actress, and so she's going to play his wife. She was also in the Departed, and she actually, for her role in Up in the Air, she got an Oscar nomination. So she's a great actress. This, I wonder, given the caliber of talent that Vera Farmiga is, I don't think her role will be. I think it'll be a prominent role. You know, I wonder. I'm speculating about her character's involvement in what Tolkachev does in the movie and did in real life. You know, is she supportive of this? Is she against it? Does she help him? You know, I'm very interested to see the character dynamic between Russell Crowe and Vera Farmiga, and what that relationship is like regarding and how that relationship evolves over what Tolkachev has to do. That this I love Vera Farmiga so much. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. So, jump in the comment section and let me know what your guys' thoughts are on Vera Farmiga joining Billion Dollar Spy. Let's move on here. So this next piece of news is regarding an upcoming horror movie that will star Jamie Lee Curtis. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. So this article is on Screen Rant, published by Adam Bentz. About halfway down this article, it says Jamie Lee Curtis is starring in and producing Sender. This article goes on to say the upcoming horror movie marks the directorial debut of Russell Goldman, which was adapted from his 2022 short film Return to Sender into a 2023 Blacklist script, an annual compilation of the So a Blacklist script, and this article does point this out, a Blacklist script is a compilation of the best screenplays that weren't produced into movies for whatever reason. So the article does go on here. The film centers on a woman who falls victim to a deeply unsettling e-commerce package delivery scam. One so personal that she becomes determined to uncover the identity of the mysterious sender. Okay. I smile every time I say Jamie Lee Curtis's name. I love Jamie Lee Curtis so much. You know, and now she's an Oscar winner. You know, and her Oscar speech was so moving, and it made me smile. You know, she's an icon. I mean, she really is, and her parents were legends in the industry. And I'll tell you this. Jamie Lee Curtis, because, you know, I've said before that I'm working on, I have this giant list of films and TV shows that I need to watch. Jamie Lee Curtis is one of my favorite actresses. and I am slowly also working her through her parents' filmography. You know, Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh. Um, in fact, I actually recently watched the original Manchurian Candidate, um, and Janet Leigh is in that movie, and she's great in that movie. So Jamie Lee Curtis is an icon, and you know, uh, her parents were legends in the industry. Um, and you know, it's nice to see. You know, I'm kind of it's nice to see someone who is so identified with a certain genre. It's nice to see them embrace that. Excuse me, just a second. Oh, excuse me. Wow, that came out. I love when they come out of nowhere like that. Um, so it's I really love, and she talked about this in her Oscar speech a little bit. I love that Jamie Lee Curtis embraces the fact that she is in some ways uh, kind of joined at the hip with the horror genre. I love that. You know, I love, you know, I love that she's accepting of that. So a woman who falls victim to a deeply unsettling e-commerce package delivery scam, and that in the context of a horror movie, that could be really interesting. Um, and you know, she's an Oscar winner now, of course. And this sounds really so. Britt Lauer, or Lower, I should say, um, from Severance, is going to be in the lead role. So Jamie Lee Curtis will not play the lead, which begs the question, of course: Will she be? Will Jamie Lee Curtis's character be the villain? Maybe that would be cool. And because she did kind of play a villain type character in Everything Everywhere All at Once, which she won the Oscar for. By the way, she's great in that movie. That movie is bonkers crazy. Everything Everywhere All at Once is, if you are a fan of science fiction, fantasy, and horror, or any of those genres, if you are a fan of any or all of those genres, you gotta watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's bonkers. It's so great. You know, again, Jamie Lee Curtis returning to the horror genre. I mean, just take my money now. This sounds really great. Maybe she plays the villain. You know, a villain type role. You know, who knows? I'm just excited to see Jamie Lee Curtis do what she does best. So jump in the comments section and let me know what you guys think about this. So this next piece of news has to do with an upcoming sports drama. This article is on Joe Blow, published by Steve Saig. Excuse me. My body is just like, nope. My body today is just like, nope, not today. Published on Joe Blow by Steve Saig. This article says that Oscar-nominated actor Michael Shannon is taking the field to play Coach Bill Parcells in Skydance's untitled sports drama about former player John Tuggle, better known as Mr. Irrelevant, after being picked last in the final round of the 1983 NFL Draft. Um, so this article does go on to say that the casting, so this article does point out that David Corenswet, who is going to play Superman in the upcoming Superman movie this year, he is going to play John Tuggle. So this sounds interesting to me. It'll be nice to it's nice to see. First of all, it's nice to see David Corenswet continue to get work after playing Superman. I really love Michael Shannon. Again, he's another one of my favorites as well. You know, him playing Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells, obviously, most famously, you know, coached the New York Giants in the 80s. From 83 to 1983 to 1989 or 1990, I think. And John Tuggle was the running back for the Giants during that time. So interestingly enough, it's pointed out that John Tuggle was better known as Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant is the nickname for anyone who is picked in the final round of the NFL draft, which I think is kind of ironic, especially considering the story of this movie. So this article does go on to say that so this movie will tell the moving and heartfelt story of John Tuggle, drafted by the New York Giants and who profoundly impacted the team. Parcells, the Hall of Fame coach, oversaw the team during Tuggle's inspiring position. Many consider Parcells one of the greatest coaches of his time. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants and encouraged Tuggle's appointment to the team. So I'm not. This is a movie that I'm interested in simply because I'm not familiar with the story. You know, I am not one of these. Yeah, I know a number of people who watch SportsCenter 24/7. I do not. I am not a sports junkie, sportsaholic, whatever you want to call it. I mean I like sports. You know, I love football. I watch baseball, but I'm not someone who is constantly in tune with what's going on in the sports industry, I guess you could say. But I am familiar with, like, I know who Bill Parcells was. You know, I'm not, you know, I haven't been completely living under a rock. I love Michael Shannon. The first time I saw Michael Shannon was in that Pearl Harbor movie directed by Michael Bay, which was not very good. And to be honest, Michael Shannon was only in that movie a very brief time. Michael Shannon was in. I'm trying to think. The movie. Okay. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so he's been nominated for a couple of Oscars. Neither movie, unfortunately, not yet. Um, well, he's been nominated for a couple of. He's been nominated twice for Oscars. The movies that he got nominated for, the performances he got nominated for, are for movies that I have not yet seen. One is for Revolutionary Road, and one was for Nocturnal Animals. I have not seen those movies yet, but I plan to. And of course, he played General Zod in Man of Steel, and he was great in that movie. So I love Michael Shannon. And this is a movie that I'm looking forward to seeing because I don't know the full story. Part of the reason, actually a big reason why I love biopics is so I can learn. And I'm very interested in this movie, and I love sports dramas, whether they're based on real life or not. Recently I just watched the Friday Night Lights, the movie, not the show, and I had never seen it before, and it was very good. It was very good. So I love these kinds of movies, and I'm Michael Shannon playing Bill Parcells. I mean, that's awesome. That's great. So I'm looking forward to seeing this movie. Jump in the comment section and let me know your thoughts about this. So, there are a couple of excuse me, just a second. I want to make sure that I get this right. So there is a convention that is happening this weekend. That is specifically geared towards Star Wars fans, and it's called Star Wars Celebration. And I believe it's held. They try to do it every year. I know that because of the pandemic, it's been tough. It's been tough to do it every year since the pandemic. But I believe they try to do it every year. They try to do it every year, and it's Star Wars Celebration is basically this giant convention dedicated to the Star Wars franchise. And anyone who knows me knows or should know that I of all the film franchises out there, Star Wars is my favorite. I love Star Wars. There are people, there are film fans who just have an encyclopedia-like knowledge of their favorite franchises. And that is how I am with Star Wars. I don't know how that happened, quite honestly. It just did. I love Star Wars so much. And I am, and I'll say this for the record, just so I have the chance to say it publicly. I am not a Star Wars fan that I am happy with whatever story Lucasfilm wants to tell. There are Star Wars fans who sometimes when a project is announced, a film or a TV series, sometimes when a film or a TV series is announced, there are fans who will complain, why are we getting this? We want this. Why are we getting that? We don't want this. We should have gotten this. Because I love Star Wars so much, I am happy with whatever story they want to tell, however they want to tell it. I am quite proud of. I have many Star Wars novels, and I love those. The only if they want to tell I am not someone who says, oh, they shouldn't have told this story, they should have told this story, why did we get this? I'm not one of those. If they want to tell a Boba Fett, if they want to do a TV series on Disney Plus about Boba Fett, go ahead and do that. I'm happy with that. You know, if it's got the Star Wars name on it, if it's a film or a TV show, I mean, there are some exceptions. The holiday special. But because it's Star Wars and because I love Star Wars so much, I'm happy with whatever story they want to tell. That's the best way I can put it. There are, I want to say, of the Disney era of Star Wars, there are only two things that I haven't. There's one movie and one TV show of the Disney era of Star Wars that I personally haven't liked. I did not really care for the Book of Boba Fett. I didn't like that. It was more like I heard someone say once it was more like the pamphlet of Boba Fett and not the book of Boba Fett, and I thought that was funny. I didn't like that, and I really didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. I didn't like Episode 9. But other than that, of the Disney era of Star Wars, those are the only two things I didn't like, so I've enjoyed most of it. So I just wanted to say that real quick. I'm a fan, so who am I to judge whether they should have done the story this way or they should have told that story? Who cares? I love Star Wars, so if you want to tell this story and tell it this way, you have then I'm happy. I'm happy with whatever you want to do. So Star Wars Celebration is happening this weekend, and there have been so far two announcements regarding upcoming projects. One is a movie, and one is an animated series. So this article is on CBR, published by John Dodge. And this article says, by the way, this year's Star Wars Celebration takes place in Tokyo. So this article says, director Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling have officially announced their next project, Star Wars Starfighter. This article goes on to say, per Deadline, the news of the new feature film was confirmed by Levy and Gosling when the pair took the stage together in Tokyo for the latest Star Wars Celebration. Levy explained of the project, there are many rumors, some true, some not. This is not a prequel, this is not a sequel, it's a new adventure. Now, I do want to point out that it has been reported that this movie, this Star Wars Starfighter, It has been reported that it will take place 5 years after the rise of Skywalker. So 5 years after episode 9. That's cool. So there's that. The other announcement is this. Is that, and this is on the Hollywood Reporter, published by Boris Kitt. This article says, Star Wars villain Darth Maul is getting his own series. The popular character, who first appeared in 1999 Star Wars The Phantom Menace, will headline Maul, Shadow Lord, a new animated series for Disney+. It was announced at Star Wars Celebration on Friday. So, those two announcements. Okay, let me get this out of the way first. In terms, like I mentioned before, for the most part, I love everything that has been produced Star Wars related, and that includes the animated series. I really enjoyed. I mean, it was a little slow to start. It was a little rocky to start, but the Clone Wars animated series, I really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed Star Wars Rebels, which was the kind of sequel series to Clone Wars. Excuse me. And, this Star Wars Starfighter. So first of all, this Darth Maul animated series. So, let me see here what it says. Let me see. So I guess they showed a trailer for this Darth Maul series. This sounds really cool. This sounds really cool, and I guess Sam Witwer, who voices Darth Maul, revealed that it takes place a year after the Clone Wars, so it's like during the Empire's reign. So that's really cool. A series centered around Darth Maul. God, that's going to be awesome. That could be really, really awesome. Now, this other announcement, the Star Wars Starfighter, directed by Sean Levy, directed Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds, and he also directed Deadpool and Wolverine. Both movies are really, really good. They're really, really good. And Ryan Gosling. And it's going to be a standalone story, not related to the Skywalker saga, that's going to take place 5 years after the rise of Skywalker. This sounds really, really cool. It sounds like Star Wars Starfighter. That immediately makes me think of like maybe this. It could be like a X-wing. It could be about an X-wing squadron. Could revolve around that. That sounds really cool. So you have this Darth Maul animated series, and you have a Star Wars movie directed by Sean Levy and starring Ryan Gosling. It's going to be. It sounds awesome. Both sound awesome. Now, that being said, so they showed a trailer for the animated series. Okay. So the trailer, them being able to show a trailer for the Darth Maul animated series, that says to me that it's coming soon. Like they've animated it, they filmed it, like production is happening. That says to me that we will probably be getting, in fact, so the Ryan Gosling movie directed by Sean Levy, we won't be getting until 2027. So we'll probably be getting that Darth Maul animated series before the movie, before the Sean Levy movie. I'm more excited about the Darth Maul series because they've shown a trailer. And the only reason I say that is because under Kathleen Kennedy's reign as head of Lucasfilm, there have been 7 or 8, maybe more, and now Star Wars, and there have been 7 or 8 announcements about Star Wars films or TV shows, and they've ended up not happening. So the fact that they've shown a trailer for this Darth Maul series says to me, like, I'm more excited about that because, okay, now we have proof that it's happening. Like, if you're just announcing it, okay, but they've shown a trailer. They've announced under Kathleen Kennedy's reign as head of Lucasfilm, there have been so many announcements about Star Wars projects that have ended up not happening. I wish I could get happy. I wish I could be happy about this Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling Starfighter movie. But I can't until I see a trailer. I just because I am fearful that that's going to be another I'm trying to think of the right word, but I feel like it's going to be another Star Wars project that doesn't happen. So I wish that I could get excited, but I can't just yet. Until they have enough footage to show a trailer, then I'll believe it's happening. But I believe this Darth Maul series is happening because they've showed a trailer. They showed a trailer at Star Wars Celebration. So there's that. They both sound awesome. They both sound cool. But specifically with the movie, I can't get excited. Show me a trailer, and then I'll believe it's actually happening. But the Darth Maul series, hell yeah, I'm on board with it. Come on. So I just wanted to give my thoughts on that. What do you guys think? Do you guys need to see a trailer before you believe it's actually going to happen, like me, or do you feel differently? Jump in the comments and let me know what your thoughts are on this. This next piece of news has to do with an upcoming Judd Apatow comedy. Judd Apatow, I think it's safe to say his most famous movie is that he directed was 40-Year-Old Virgin. So this article is on CBR, published by Deanna Carpenter. And this article says, actor Glenn Powell's calendar just got a little fuller as the Twisters star has yet another project on deck. Powell, who also starred in 2022's Top Gun Maverick, is set to star in a new comedy flick from filmmaker Judd Apatow. Per The Hollywood Reporter, the yet untitled movie will explore the world of country music. This article goes on to say that Apatow is set to direct the movie, which will follow a country music star who is experiencing a downward spiral. Okay. I'm going to say this. Because of the subject matter regarding this movie, if it wasn't Judd Apatow directing this movie, I would have no interest. I despise country music. I hate it with every fiber of my being. Now, that being said, a Judd Apatow comedy about country music, that sounds appealing to me. Glenn Powell has done some... I mean, he's certainly... his career is... has skyrocketed. He's as this article points out, he's everywhere now. And I mean, he's incredibly talented. However, he has been in movies that I have no interest in seeing. And not because of him, but because of the subject matter. I think he's, you know, he might eventually become that movie star status, like I mentioned earlier with Tom Cruise. He might get there. I mean, he's everywhere now, so he might get there. But if it wasn't for Judd Apatow directing this movie, I would have no interest. Hold on, let me do my research just for a minute. What else has Judd Apatow done? Oh, sorry about that. So, 40-Year-Old Virgin. He did Knocked Up. Knocked Up was pretty good. You know, this is that's the only movies of his that I've seen. You know, Funny People, This Is 40, Trainwreck. I haven't seen those. So the only movies that Judd Apatow has done is 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. And 40-Year-Old Virgin's great. So that's all I have to say about this, is that Judd, if it wasn't for Judd Apatow directing for this movie, I would have no interest. And that has nothing to do with what I think of Glenn Powell as an actor. It's just, you know, this subject matter. I think Judd Apatow, the way he's going to deal with this, because it's going to be a comedy, I think that's a comedy about a country music star who's experiencing a downward spiral. That piques my interest. And Glenn Powell is certainly the right actor to do that. I just, you know, again, you know, hopefully it's good, you know. So I just wanted to, I don't have much else to offer about that. So hopefully it's good, you know. So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are on this. So there's a couple of TV news announcements, TV series that I want to talk about this week. And the first of those is this. So, this article is on CBR, published by Monica Coman. And this article has to do with the Pacific Rim franchise. This article, about halfway down, so there was back in August of last year, there was an announcement that there was going to be a Pacific Rim prequel TV series. But there hasn't been much news since then about that until now. And this really isn't terribly much, but it's more than we've gotten since August of last year. So about halfway down in this article, by Monica Coman, she says, now the prequel has received a new exciting update. Per Variety, the Pacific Rim TV show will be officially moving forward at Amazon Studios. The upcoming live-action project is in development and will premiere on Prime Video per a lead between Legendary and Amazon MGM Studios. So it's coming. It's moving forward at Amazon. Not much to go on here other than it's going to happen, and I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoyed the first Pacific Rim movie. I watched it at home and I really enjoyed it. Of course, directed by Guillermo del Toro, who's great. And I really enjoyed it. Pacific Rim Uprising was fine. It was fine. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as the first one. It was fine. But I did really enjoy the first Pacific Rim. I mean, come on, a movie where robots and monsters fight each other, just take my money now. So this idea of doing a prequel series, this idea of doing a prequel series is intriguing to me. About maybe the series will be about the discovery of the monsters and things like that. And I'm glad it's moving forward, and I hope it's good. And so we'll see what happens with that. Not much to go on here, but I just wanted to say that I hope it's good, and I'm looking forward to it. So jump in the comment section and let me know what your thoughts are on this. So the last bit of news this week that I've got is like I said, there's one more piece of TV news this week. And this article is on Variety, published by Joe Otterson. And this article says, Alicia Silverstone is attached to reprise the role of Cher Horowitz in a Clueless sequel series at Peacock, Variety has learned. Peacock is, I believe, the NBC streaming service. The show is currently in development. Exact plot details are being kept under wraps, aside from the fact the show will serve as a follow-up to the cult classic film. So it will be a sequel series, a sequel TV series. Cool. I I love Clueless. Judge me all you want. I don't care. I love Clueless. Uh, you know, rolling with the homies. You know, I love Clueless. And it's I think Alicia Silverstone's most famous role. Um, so I will say this: I haven't watched Clueless in a minute, so I'd be interested to see. I don't remember how that movie ended. I guess is the best way to put it. So it'd be interesting to see what the story is for this sequel series. Is she is Cher Horowitz? Has she evolved as a character at all? Like has she grown up at all? Has she not? You know, it would be kind of funny to see her like still retain a little bit of the classic Cher personality. You know, that would be kind of funny. So who knows? Again, not much to go on here regarding this. I hope it's good, and I mean clearly, Alicia Silverstone has a soft spot. In her career for this, you know, and she should. I mean, it's a classic. I mean, it really is. So I'm looking forward to this, and you know we'll see what happens. I wonder how much of the original, if any more of the cast from the movie comes back. So there's that. So not much to go on here, but you know, hopefully it's good and hopefully it's well received. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will about do it for this week. A lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to mull over. You know, I was thinking about this earlier today. One of the reasons, actually, the main reason, and I've touched on this before, but the main reason I do this show is because, for better or for worse, I'm always thinking about the entertainment industry, and you know what things are happening and what projects are coming and things like that. It's always on my mind, and this show provides this show accomplishes two things for me. It provides me an outlet to get my thoughts that are rattling around in my head. It provides me an outlet to get those thoughts out there. And it also, I hope what it accomplishes is to keep people who are interested in the film industry. It keeps people informed about what's happening with this, what's happening with that. I love doing this show. I love just that's the best way I can put it. And I hope you guys enjoy the show, and I hope you continue to do so. I will be back next week with more things to talk about. So until then, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you have any comments, questions, feel free to email them to me. And until next week, I will see you at the movies.